In 1999, a beat-up Rolex with a cracked dial and a faded bezel sold at auction. The estimate was maybe $20,000. It sold for $17.8 million. Why? Because it had been on Paul Newman's wrist. That is the power of a Rolex. It doesn't just keep time. It becomes part of history. Today, we count down the top 5 Rolex watches ever made, ranked by icon status, craftsmanship, and pure legacy. Stay till number 1, the watch that sits on the wrist of almost every world leader alive. What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm Zia-ul Haq from Swiss Watches. If you're new here, we cover the finest watches, luxury lifestyle, and everything worth owning. Let's get straight into it. Number 5, Rolex Datejust. The watch that invented an entire category. Picture 1945. World War II just ended. The world is rebuilding, and Rolex quietly launches something nobody had ever seen before. A watch that automatically shows the date. Not manually, not with a separate dial, just there, every morning, like magic. They called it the Datejust, and it changed watchmaking forever. Today, the Datejust still runs on Rolex's in-house automatic movement, engineered to last longer than you will. It comes in steel, gold, and two-tone with that iconic fluted bezel that every other brand has spent 80 years trying to copy. Price starts around $7,000. Gold versions go past $50,000. Martin Luther King wore one, Winston Churchill wore one, and here's the one fact that stops people cold. The Datejust has been in continuous production for over 75 years. No other luxury watch on earth can say that. Not Patek, not AP. Nobody. Just Rolex. Number 4, Rolex GMT-Master II. Built for pilots, adopted by the world. 1955. Pan Am is the most glamorous airline on earth. Their pilots are flying transatlantic routes before most people had even been on a plane. They needed a watch that could track 2 time zones at once, so they called Rolex. The result was the GMT-Master, and that two-tone ceramic bezel became one of the most recognized designs in history. Red and blue, nicknamed the Pepsi, black and blue, the Batman. The 24-hour hand tracks a second time zone independently. Inside, Rolex's Caliber 3285 movement, one of the most reliable ever built. Retail starts at $10,000. Good luck finding one, though. The resale price jumps to $20,000, $40,000 almost instantly. John Mayer doesn't just wear a GMT Master, he collects vintage ones obsessively. He's spoken publicly about how studying Rolex's engineering changed how he thinks about precision in music. That's the kind of watch this is. It doesn't just sit on your wrist, it gets inside your head. The waiting list at an official Rolex boutique? 3 to 5 years. That's not marketing hype. That's just supply and demand when the demand never stops. Number 3, Rolex Daytona. The watch that became worth more than a house. Quick one, before we get into number 3. If you're enjoying this, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel and it takes half a second. Subscribe if you're new. Okay, number 3. The year is 1969. Paul Newman is the coolest man alive. Acting legend, racing driver, movie star. His wife, Joanne Woodward, buys him a Rolex Daytona. She has it engraved on the back, "Drive carefully, me." Newman wore that watch almost every day for decades. Then he gave it away to a friend's son. And that watch sat in a drawer for years, until 2017 when it went to auction. Final price, $17.8 million, the most expensive wristwatch ever sold at that time. A Rolex that originally cost a few $100s. The Daytona was built in 1963 for professional racing drivers at Daytona Beach. It's a chronograph, a stopwatch on your wrist, with 3 subdials, a tachymeter bezel to measure speed, and Rolex's Caliber 4130 movement, engineered to be accurate within 2 seconds per day. Retail starts at $14,000. Resale easily hits $30,000 to $75,000. Jay-Z, Eric Clapton, Ellen DeGeneres, all Daytona owners. But none of their watches will ever be worth what Paul Newman's was, because a Rolex Daytona is already a great watch. A Rolex Daytona with a great story? That's a piece of history. Number 2, Rolex Submariner. The watch that created an entire industry. Here's something people don't realize. Before 1953, a luxury watch that could go underwater didn't really exist. The sea was essentially off-limits for fine watchmaking. Then Rolex launched the Submariner, water-resistant to 100 meters, a unidirectional rotating bezel that divers could use to track time underwater without risking a wrong turn. A bold, clean dial in black or green, built for professionals who needed it to work when life depended on it. Today, it's water-resistant to 300 meters and powered by Rolex's Caliber 3235. It's the same basic design as 1953, because Rolex understood something. When something is perfect, you don't redesign it. You refine it. Retail starts around $9,000. Resale, $15,000 to $25,000. James Bond has worn it in 007 films for decades. Steve McQueen, David Beckham, Sylvester Stallone. But here is the real measure of the Submariner's influence. Virtually every luxury brand on Earth makes a dive watch today. Omega, IWC, Tag Heuer, Tudor, all of them. And every single one of those watches exists because Rolex made the Submariner in 1953 and showed the world what a sports watch should look like. The Submariner didn't just define a watch. It defined a category that an entire industry has spent 70 years trying to match. Number 1. Rolex Day-Date The President. The only watch worn by the most powerful people on Earth. 1956. Dwight D. Eisenhower is President of the United States. Rolex launches a new watch, made exclusively in gold and platinum. No steel version exists, no budget option. This watch was built for one kind of person only. It sits on the President bracelet, a design made exclusively for this model, never used on any other Rolex. The dial shows the full day of the week spelled out, not just Mon or 2. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like the watch knows your time is too important for abbreviations. Inside, Rolex's Caliber 3255, their most technically advanced movement ever built. Available in yellow gold, white gold, rose gold, and platinum. Price starts at $36,000. Rare versions exceed $100,000. But the real story isn't the price. Eisenhower wore one. JFK wore one. Nixon, LBJ, Obama. Almost every sitting U.S. president has worn a day-date. It's worn by kings, presidents, prime ministers, and heads of state across every continent. No other watch in history has appeared on more wrists at the highest levels of power. And that's why it's called the President. Not because Rolex named it that, because the people who wear it already are. Your perfect Rolex tells people who you are before you say a word. The Datejust is for someone who wants elegance with history behind it. It works in a boardroom, at a wedding, or on a Sunday. It's the one you wear every day for 30 years and leave to your son. The GMT-Master II is for the person who's always somewhere, the traveler, the entrepreneur with clients in 3 time zones. It says, I move fast and I track every hour. The Daytona is for someone who loves the story. You're not just buying a watch, you're buying into a legacy that includes Paul Newman, racing history, and one of the greatest auction moments of all time. If watches are your passion, the Daytona is your watch. The Submariner is the one for people who want something that works in any situation, dinner or diving, casual or formal. It's the most versatile sports watch ever made. If you could only ever own one Rolex, this is the safe bet. And the day-date is simple. If you want to walk into a room and have people know, without a word, without an introduction, that you're the one who makes decisions, the President bracelet says it for you. You already know mine. It's the Submariner. No other watch on this list gives you 70 years of history, that level of versatility, and a design so good it created an entire industry. All for the entry price. It works with everything I own. It handles everything I do. And every single time I put it on, I feel like I'm wearing something with actual weight to it. Not just in grams, but in story. The Day-Date is the most powerful watch ever made. The Daytona has the greatest single story in auction history. But if I'm picking one watch for the rest of my life, Submariner. No hesitation. Now I want to know yours. Which one are you picking, and why? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Let's see which watch wins. Real quick, our top 5. 5. Datejust, the watch that invented the date display. Their 4. GMT-Master II, built for pilots, coveted by everyone. A 3. Daytona, the watch that sold for $17.8 million. 2. Submariner, the watch that created an industry. 41. Day-Date The President, the most powerful watch ever made. If you enjoyed this, like it, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Next up, I'm breaking down the top 5 most expensive watches ever sold at auction. The prices will genuinely shock you. Click right there to watch it. Until next time, keep it Swiss.